The room was cold, sterile, and silent except for the faint hum of energy coursing through the walls. Jack Miller stood at the center of a circular chamber, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. His dark eyes scanned the faces of the council members seated above him in a semicircle. They were tall, imposing figures, their forms shimmering with holographic projections that made them look almost godlike. Laura Bennett, standing beside Jack, shifted uncomfortably. Her fingers twitched as if she wanted to reach out and adjust her glasses, but she resisted the urge. This was no place for small gestures or nervous habits. The Galactic Council had summoned Earth's delegation for what they called a formal hearing. To Jack, it felt more like a trial. He could feel the weight of judgment pressing down on him, heavier than any accusation. The Council had accused Earth of breaking rules, too many rules, reckless expansion into uncharted territories, unauthorized, experiments on alien artifacts, violations of trade embargoes. The list went on. Each charge was delivered in a monotone voice by one of the council members, a being named Vorthan, whose pale blue skin seemed to glow faintly even in the dim light of the chamber. Jack listened carefully, his jaw tightening with each word. He knew the accusations weren't entirely baseless. Humanity had always been ambitious, eager to explore and conquer new frontiers. But ambition wasn't a crime, or at least it shouldn't have been. Still, he couldn't deny that some of Earth's actions had pushed boundaries. Laura had warned him about this months ago when rumors of a potential fallout first surfaced. She had urged caution, but humanity's leaders hadn't listened. Now, here they were, standing before the council, fighting for their place among the stars. When Vorthan finished listing the charges, there was a long pause. The silence stretched on, heavy and suffocating. Finally, another council member, a towering insectoid creature with iridescent wings, spoke up. Its voice was sharp and clipped like shards of glass cutting through the air. "You have been given opportunities to correct your behavior," it said. "Yet you continue to act without regard for galactic law. Why should we tolerate such defiance?" Jack stepped forward, his movements deliberate and measured. He cleared his throat before speaking, his voice steady despite the knot of tension in his chest. "We are not defiant out of malice," he began. "Earth is young compared to many of the civilizations represented here. We are still learning how to navigate this vast galaxy. Our actions may sometimes seem reckless, but they stem from a desire to grow, to contribute, and to protect our people." Laura nodded in agreement, though she remained silent. She knew Jack was the better speaker, the one who could command attention and respect. Still, she couldn't help feeling frustrated. How could these beings, who had lived for centuries or even millennia, fail to understand humanity's drive? It wasn't greed or arrogance, it was survival. Earth didn't have the luxury of time. Resources were dwindling, populations were growing, and the planet was straining under the weight of its own success. If humanity didn't expand, it would collapse. Vorthan leaned forward slightly, its expression unreadable. "Your explanations do not excuse your transgressions," it said. "The Council exists to maintain order. Without order, chaos reigns. You have disrupted that balance repeatedly." Jack opened his mouth to respond, but Laura placed a gentle hand on his arm. It was a subtle gesture, barely noticeable, but it stopped him in his tracks. She gave him a look that said, "Let me try." Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, her presence calm, yet commanding. "Order is important, yes," she said, "but so is progress. Humanity has brought innovation to this council, new technologies, new ideas, new ways of thinking. We've contributed more than we've taken. Surely there must be room for compromise." For a moment, the council members exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Then the insectoid counselor spoke again. "Compromise requires trust. Trust must be earned, and Earth has shown little evidence of being trustworthy." The words hit hard, like a punch to the gut. Jack felt his resolve wavering, but he forced himself to stay composed. Beside him, Laura clenched her fists, her nails digging into her palms. She hated this, hated the way the council dismissed humanity's efforts, as if everything they'd achieved meant nothing. Finally, After what felt like an eternity, the council announced its decision. There would be no compromise, no second chances. Earth was expelled from the Galactic Council. The verdict was delivered in a single sentence, cold and final. Jack stared up at the council members, disbelief etched across his face. Laura let out a soft gasp, her knees threatening to buckle beneath her. For a moment, neither of them moved. The weight of the decision settled over them like a suffocating blanket. As they left the chamber, Jack and Laura walked in silence. Neither of them spoke until they reached the transport pod that would take them back to their ship. Once inside, Jack finally broke the silence. "This isn't the end," he said, his voice low but firm. "They can kick us out, but they can't stop us. We'll find another way." Laura looked at him, her eyes filled with doubt. "Another way to what? We're isolated now, cut off from resources, allies, everything. How are we supposed to survive?" Jack didn't have an answer, at least not yet. But he refused to give up. Humanity had faced challenges before: war, famine, disease, and they had always found a way to persevere. This was no different. As the pod sped away from the council's headquarters, Jack stared out the window at the endless expanse of space. Somewhere out there, beyond the council's reach, lay opportunity. All they had to do was seize it. Back on Earth, news of the UN expulsion spread quickly. Panic gripped the population as people realized the implications. Without access to council resources, food shortages became a real threat. Energy supplies dwindled, and economies faltered. Protests erupted in cities around the world, with citizens demanding answers from their leaders. President Rachel Monroe addressed the nation, her face appearing on screens everywhere. She was calm, but resolute, her voice steady as she spoke. "We will not be defeated," she said. "Earth has always thrived on resilience and ingenuity. We will adapt, innovate, and rise above this challenge. Together, we will forge a new path, a path that leads to independence and strength." Her words inspired hope in some, but skepticism in others. Many wondered how Earth could possibly survive without the Council's support. That's when Jack proposed his plan. He gathered a group of advisors, including Laura, and laid out his vision. Instead of relying on the Council, Earth would create its own empire. They would mine asteroids for resources, establish colonies on distant planets, and build alliances with other disenfranchised species. It was a bold idea, risky and unprecedented, but it was also their best chance at survival. President Monroe approved the plan immediately. "Make it happen," she told Jack. "Do whatever it takes." With her blessing, Jack and Laura set to work. They assembled teams of scientists, engineers, and diplomats, all working toward a common goal. Laura focused on developing new technologies, while Jack negotiated deals with fringe traders and smugglers willing to defy the Council. Slowly but surely, Earth began to rebuild. Months turned into years, and progress was slow but steady. Mining operations in the asteroid belt yielded valuable metals and minerals. Fusion reactors powered cities and ships, reducing dependence on dwindling fossil fuels. Colonization efforts expanded, with settlements established on Mars and Europa. Though life was far from easy, humanity adapted. They learned to live with less, to innovate with limited resources, and to rely on each other. Despite the hardships, there was a sense of unity that hadn't existed before. People worked together, driven by a shared purpose. Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a movement. A symbol of defiance against oppression and a testament to the power of determination. And though the road ahead was uncertain, Jack and Laura believed in their mission. They believed in humanity's ability to overcome any obstacle. One evening, as Jack stood on the observation deck of a newly constructed orbital station, he gazed out at the stars. Laura joined him, holding a tablet filled with data and schematics. "We're doing it," she said softly. "Against all odds, we're actually doing it." Jack nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Yeah," he replied. "And this is only the beginning." Little did they know, their journey was about to take an unexpected turn. Far beyond the reaches of council-controlled space, something waited, something that would test humanity's resolve like never before. But for now, they allowed themselves a moment of quiet triumph. The stars shone brightly in the distance, a reminder of the infinite possibilities that lay ahead. Years had passed since Earth's expulsion from the Galactic Council, and the planet was changing. The once bustling cities now hummed with a new kind of energy, industrious, determined, and resilient. Factories churned out machinery for asteroid mining operations, while scientists worked tirelessly in labs to develop technologies that would ensure humanity's survival. Jack Miller and Laura Bennett had become household names, symbols of hope in a time of uncertainty. Their efforts were tireless, their vision clear. Earth would not just survive, it would thrive. Jack spent most of his days coordinating with engineers and ship captains, ensuring that resources flowed smoothly between Earth and its growing network of colonies. He had always been a man of action, preferring to lead by example rather than sit behind a desk. His sharp mind and quick thinking made him invaluable, especially when it came to dealing with the unpredictable nature of space exploration. Laura, on the other hand, immersed herself in her work, often losing track of time as she tinkered with experimental devices or pored over data streams. Her breakthroughs had already transformed Earth's capabilities. Fusion reactors powered entire cities, and advanced drones scoured asteroids for precious metals. Despite their successes, challenges remained. Food shortages persisted in some regions, and tensions flared among nations struggling to adapt to the new reality. President Rachel Monroe worked tirelessly to maintain unity, addressing the global population with speeches that emphasized resilience and cooperation. "We are stronger together," she often said. "Our strength lies in our ability to innovate and adapt." Her words resonated with many, but there were still skeptics who doubted whether Earth could truly stand on its own. One day, as Jack reviewed supply routes in his office, a message arrived from an unexpected source. It was Daniel Carter, a trader, known for his connections with fringe colonies and rogue factions scattered across the galaxy. Jack had met Daniel months earlier during one of his trips to negotiate deals for raw materials. The man was rough around the edges with a scruffy beard and a penchant for sarcasm, but he was trustworthy and resourceful. "Got something you'll want to hear," Daniel said through the comm screen, his voice gruff but urgent. "There's talk about unclaimed systems beyond council space, rich in resources barely touched, but dangerous too. Pirates, unstable wormholes, you name it." Jack leaned forward, his interest piqued. Unclaimed systems meant opportunity, a chance to expand Earth's reach without interference from the council. "How reliable is this information?" he asked. "Reliable enough," Daniel replied with a shrug. "But you didn't hear it from me." After ending the call, Jack immediately went to Laura. She was in her lab, surrounded by glowing screens and half-assembled gadgets. When he explained what Daniel had told him, her eyes lit up with excitement. "If these systems are as rich as he says, they could be game-changing," she said. "But we'll need ships, crews, and better navigation systems to handle the risks." The two quickly drafted a proposal and presented it to President Monroe. After reviewing the details, she gave her approval. "Assemble your team," she said, "and make sure Captain Emily Dawson leads the expedition." Emily Dawson was a legend among Earth's fleet commanders. Known for her fearless leadership and strategic brilliance, she had earned the nickname the Comet for her lightning-fast maneuvers in battle. Her flagship, the Odyssey, was one of the most advanced vessels Earth had built, a sleek, silver ship equipped with cutting-edge weapons and shields. It wasn't just a military vessel. It carried thousands of colonists eager to start new lives in uncharted territory. Preparations for the mission took months. Ships were retrofitted with reinforced hulls to withstand the dangers of deep space travel. Laura installed experimental navigation systems designed to detect and avoid unstable wormholes. Meanwhile, Jack negotiated treaties with fringe colonies and smugglers willing to provide supplies and support. By the time the fleet was ready to launch, anticipation buzzed through every corner of Earth. On the day of departure, crowds gathered at the orbital station to watch the Odyssey and its escort ships leave for Elysium. the star system Daniel had mentioned. Families waved goodbye to loved ones boarding the ships, their faces a mix of pride and worry. As the countdown began, Emily stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, her hands resting on the control panel. Beside her, her first officer, a calm and methodical woman named Sarah Collins, monitored the ship's systems. "We're ready, Captain," Sarah said. Emily nodded, her expression resolute. "Then let's make history." The engines roared to life and the fleet ascended into the sky, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. For weeks they traveled through the void, encountering only the occasional asteroid field or stray comet. Morale remained high aboard the Odyssey, thanks in part to Emily's leadership. She held regular meetings with her crew, encouraging open communication and addressing concerns promptly. At night, she often visited the colonist quarters, sharing stories of Earth's past struggles and triumphs. When they finally reached Elysium, the sight was breathtaking. 3 planets orbited a bright yellow sun, their surfaces shimmering with vibrant colors. One of the planets, designated Elysium 3, appeared particularly promising. Scans revealed vast oceans, fertile land, and a breathable atmosphere. It was everything Earth needed, a new home for its people. But the journey wasn't without peril. As the fleet approached Elysium 3, warning alarms blared throughout the Odyssey. A swarm of pirate ships emerged from behind a nearby moon, their weapons trained on the unsuspecting fleet. Panic rippled through the crew, but Emily remained calm. "Battle stations," she ordered. "Sarah, prepare evasive maneuvers." The ensuing fight was intense. Pirate ships fired relentlessly, their lasers slicing through space like deadly streaks of light. Emily's quick thinking saved the fleet more than once, her maneuvers so precise they seemed almost choreographed. Drones launched from the Odyssey swarmed the enemy vessels, disabling their engines and weapons. Laura's gravity pulse cannon, installed just days before departure, proved devastatingly effective, tearing apart the largest pirate ship with a single blast. By the time the battle ended, several pirate ships had fled, and the rest lay disabled or destroyed. The Odyssey sustained minor damage, but no lives were lost. Cheers erupted throughout the ship as the crew celebrated their victory. Emily allowed herself a brief smile, before turning her attention back to the task at hand. "We're not done yet," she said. "Let's secure this planet." Over the following weeks, the fleet established a foothold on Elysium 3. Colonists began building settlements, using prefabricated structures brought from Earth. Miners extracted valuable minerals from the planet's surface, while scientists studied its ecosystems to ensure sustainable development. News of the successful colonization spread back to Earth, sparking renewed optimism among the population. Meanwhile, whispers of rebellion began to circulate within Council-controlled space. Disenfranchised species, long oppressed by the Council's strict policies, saw Earth's defiance as a beacon of hope. Secret messages reached Jack and Laura, offering support and resources. A clandestine network formed, connecting Earth with allies eager to challenge the Council's dominance. Laura worked tirelessly to strengthen these connections, developing quantum communication arrays that allowed instantaneous contact across vast distances. These arrays became vital tools for coordinating efforts and sharing information. Jack, meanwhile, focused on diplomacy, negotiating alliances and securing trade agreements. Together, they laid the foundation for something greater than either of them had imagined, an empire born not from conquest but from collaboration. As Earth's influence grew, so did its confidence. The Council might have expelled them, but humanity had proven it could stand on its own. With each passing day, the dream of a united galaxy, one free from tyranny and oppression, felt closer to reality. Jack and Laura knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they also knew one thing for certain: Earth was no longer alone. They had allies, resources, and a shared vision, and that was enough to keep moving forward. One evening, as Jack stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, gazing at the stars, Laura joined him. She held a tablet displaying updates from Elysium 3, her face glowing with satisfaction. "We're doing it," she said softly. "Against all odds, we're actually doing it." Jack nodded, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Yeah," he replied. "And this is only the beginning." Far beyond the reaches of Council space, unknown threats loomed. But for now, Earth's future burned brightly, a testament to the power of determination and unity. The news of Earth's success in Elysium spread like wildfire, not just among humanity but across the galaxy. Stories of Earth's defiance against the Council reached even the most remote corners of space. To some, it was a tale of rebellion and hope. To others, it was a dangerous precedent, one that could not be ignored. The Council, once dismissive of Earth's ambitions, now watched with growing unease as the fledgling empire expanded its reach. Jack Miller sat in his office aboard the orbital station, reviewing reports from Elysium 3. The colony was thriving, its population doubling within months. New settlements sprang up along the planet's fertile plains, powered by fusion reactors and protected by automated defense systems. Laura Bennett's innovations had transformed the colony into a model of efficiency, earning praise from both scientists and settlers alike. But Jack knew better than to let his guard down. Success always came at a price, and Earth's rapid rise would not go unchallenged. It wasn't long before the Council sent an envoy. A sleek diplomatic vessel docked at the orbital station, its arrival announced with cold formality. Jack and Laura were summoned to meet the delegates, an imposing trio of Council representatives led by Vorthan, the same pale-skinned counselor who had presided over Earth's expulsion years earlier. His expression was unreadable, but his tone left no room for negotiation. "The Council has tolerated your expansion for too long," Vorthan said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "You have violated interstellar law, encroached on neutral zones, and destabilized regions under our protection. This ends now." Jack clenched his fists but forced himself to remain calm. He stepped forward, meeting Vorthan's gaze without flinching. "We haven't violated any laws," he replied steadily. "Elysium 3 is unclaimed territory. We've done nothing wrong." Vorthan's lips curled into a faint sneer. "Your presence alone disrupts the balance we have worked centuries to maintain. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences." Laura stepped beside Jack, her voice firm despite the tension in the air. "Earth isn't going anywhere," she said. "We've built something here, something good. If you want peace, then work with us. Otherwise, leave us alone." The counselors exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. Finally, Vorthan spoke again. "You were warned." With that, the envoys turned and left, their footsteps echoing ominously as they exited the chamber. Jack and Laura exchanged worried looks. They both knew what those words meant. War. The Council wouldn't tolerate Earth's defiance much longer, and when they acted, it would be with overwhelming force. Jack wasted no time. He contacted President Rachel Monroe, relaying the Council's ultimatum. "They're coming," he said grimly, "and they'll bring everything they've got." Rachel nodded, her expression grave. "Then we prepare," she said. "Mobilize every resource we have. Fortify the colonies, reinforce the fleet. We won't back down." Preparations began immediately. Ships were retrofitted with upgraded weapons and shields, while engineers worked around the clock to improve Laura's gravity pulse cannon. Colonists trained in basic combat skills, preparing for the possibility of ground assaults. Across Earth and its outposts, people rallied together, driven by a shared determination to protect what they had built. Meanwhile, Captain Emily Dawson received orders to return to Earth with the Odyssey and its escort ships. When she arrived, she found the orbital station buzzing with activity. Crews rushed to load supplies onto ships while technicians conducted final checks on weapon systems. Emily met with Jack and Laura in a secure briefing room where they outlined the situation. "The Council's sending an armada," Jack explained. "Hundreds of ships, maybe more. We don't know when they'll arrive, but we need to be ready." Emily nodded, her jaw tightening. "What's the plan?" "We fight smart," Laura said. "Their ships are bigger and stronger, but slower. We use speed and agility to outmaneuver them. My drones will swarm their vessels, disabling shields and targeting weak points. The gravity pulse cannon can take out their flagship if we get Close enough. Emily studied the maps laid out on the table, her mind already calculating strategies. It's risky, she said, but it might work. Days turned into weeks as the fleet prepared for battle. Morale remained high, fueled by speeches from President Monroe and stories of Earth's past victories. People worked tirelessly, knowing that the survival of their empire depended on their efforts. Then, one fateful morning, the alarms blared. Throughout the orbital station, the Council's armada had arrived. From the observation deck, Jack and Laura watched as hundreds of massive ships emerged from hyperspace, their hulls gleaming under the light of Earth's sun. The sight was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The Council had brought its full might to bear, determined to crush Earth's rebellion once and for all. On board the Odyssey, Emily stood on the bridge, her hands gripping the railing as she surveyed the enemy fleet. "Battle stations," she ordered. "Engage evasive maneuvers. Let's show them what we're made of." The battle began with a barrage of laser fire, lighting up the void like a storm of stars. Council ships advanced, in tight formations, their overwhelming firepower tearing through space. But Earth's fleet fought back with cunning and precision. Drones swarmed the enemy vessels, latching onto their hulls and disabling critical systems. Laura's gravity pulse cannon unleashed devastating blasts, shattering the Council's flagship in a spectacular explosion. Despite their losses, the Council pressed on, their sheer numbers overwhelming. Waves of fighters launched from their carriers, targeting Earth's smaller ships. Emily's quick thinking kept the Odyssey intact, her maneuvers so sharp they seemed almost impossible. "Target their engines," she commanded. "Take away their mobility." The crew obeyed, focusing their fire on the Council ship's propulsion systems. One by one, the massive vessels slowed to a halt, their crews abandoning ship as flames engulfed their hulls. But the cost was high. Several of Earth's ships were destroyed, their crews lost in the chaos of battle. Emily gritted her teeth, refusing to let grief distract her. "Stay focused," she told her crew. "We're winning this." As the tide turned, Jack and Laura coordinated reinforcements from Elysium 3. Supply ships carrying fresh troops and resources arrived just in time to bolster Earth's defenses. Together, the combined forces pushed the Council's armada back, forcing them to retreat into hyperspace. Cheers erupted throughout the fleet as the last enemy ship disappeared from view. The victory was hard won, but it came at a steep price. Thousands had perished and many ships lay in ruins. Yet Earth had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with the Council. News of the triumph spread quickly, inspiring allies across the galaxy to join Earth's cause. Delegations from oppressed species arrived daily, pledging support and offering resources. Humanity's defiance had sparked a movement, a united front against the Council's tyranny. In the aftermath of the battle, Jack and Laura reflected on what they had achieved. They stood on the observation deck, gazing at the stars beyond Earth's atmosphere. "We did it," Laura said softly, her voice tinged with both pride and sorrow. "But at what cost?" Jack nodded, his expression somber. "We lost a lot today, but we gained something too. Hope. For the first time, people see that the Council isn't invincible. That's worth fighting for." Together, they turned their attention to the future. The United Systems Alliance was born, a coalition of worlds united by a common goal: freedom. Under President Monroe's leadership, Earth continued to expand, forging new alliances and building a society based on equality and cooperation. Laura's quantum communication arrays connected distant colonies, ensuring that no world felt isolated. Jack's diplomatic efforts secured trade agreements and mutual defense pacts, strengthening the alliance's resolve. Yet challenges remained. Dissent within the Council fractured its unity, leading to internal strife. Some factions sought peace while others vowed revenge. Earth's position was precarious, caught between warring powers. But Jack and Laura refused to give up. They knew the road ahead would be difficult, but they also knew one thing for certain: humanity's spirit was unbreakable. As Jack gazed at the stars, he thought about the journey they had taken, from outcasts to pioneers. Beside him, Laura smiled, her eyes reflecting the same determination that had driven them from the start. Together, they had ignited a spark of change, a legacy written among the stars. And though the galaxy was vast and uncertain, they faced it with courage, knowing that Earth's empire was only beginning. The victory against the Council's armada marked a turning point, not just for Earth but for the galaxy as a whole. The United Systems Alliance, born out of necessity and fueled by defiance, quickly became a beacon of hope for those oppressed by the Council's rigid laws. Word spread far and wide. Species long silenced by fear now dared to dream of freedom. Ships carrying refugees from Council-controlled worlds began arriving at Earth's colonies, seeking sanctuary. Jack Miller and Laura Bennett worked tirelessly to accommodate them, knowing that every life saved strengthened their cause. Jack spent his days coordinating with leaders of newly liberated planets, helping them integrate into the Alliance. He traveled frequently, meeting with delegates who had once been enemies of Earth but now saw it as their best chance for survival. His diplomacy was rooted in understanding. He listened to their stories, acknowledged their struggles, and promised a future where no one would live under tyranny again. Laura, meanwhile, focused on building infrastructure to support the growing population. Her innovations transformed barren moons into thriving habitats, powered by fusion reactors and shielded by advanced defense systems. President Rachel Monroe played a crucial role in maintaining unity within the Alliance. She addressed the galaxy through broadcasts, her voice calm yet firm. "We are not conquerors," she said during one speech. "We are liberators. Together we will dismantle the Council's monopoly and create a new order, one built on trust, equality, and progress." Her words resonated deeply, inspiring countless beings to join the movement. But the Council wasn't finished. While some factions sought peace, others vowed revenge. A splinter group emerged led by Vorthon, who refused to accept Earth's rise. They called themselves the Loyalists, claiming to uphold the Council's original principles. In reality, they were desperate to cling to power, using fear and propaganda to rally support. Their hatred for Earth burned brighter than ever, and they made no secret of their plans to destroy the Alliance. Vorthon's forces launched a series of surprise attacks on Earth's outposts, targeting supply lines and communication hubs. Assaults were brutal and relentless, designed to weaken morale and isolate Earth from its allies. Jack and Laura knew they had to act fast. They convened an emergency meeting aboard the orbital station, bringing together leaders from across the Alliance. Captain Emily Dawson attended via hologram, her expression grim as she reported on the damage inflicted by the Loyalists. "We can't keep playing defense," Emily said. "They're too scattered, too unpredictable. We need to take the fight to them." Jack agreed. "If we strike at their core, we might be able to end this once and for all, but it'll require everything we've got." Laura nodded, though worry flickered in her eyes. "I'll upgrade our weapon systems and prepare contingency plans, but we'll need more than technology. We'll need strategy." The Alliance devised a bold plan. Using Laura's quantum communication arrays, they coordinated simultaneous strikes on key Loyalist strongholds. At the same time, a small, elite task force would infiltrate Vorthon's headquarters, a heavily fortified space station known as Citadel Prime. The mission was risky but necessary. If they could capture or neutralize Vorthon, the Loyalists would crumble. Emily volunteered to lead the task force despite objections from her crew. "This is my fight too," she said firmly. "And I won't ask anyone to do something I'm not willing to do myself." The operation launched under cover of darkness, with Earth's fleet engaging Loyalist forces across multiple fronts. Explosions lit up the void as ships clashed in fierce battles. Meanwhile, Emily's task force approached Citadel Prime undetected, thanks to Laura's cloaking technology. The station loomed ahead, its surface bristling with turrets and defenses. It was a fortress, impenetrable to all but the most determined. Emily's team docked quietly, slipping inside before alarms could sound. They moved swiftly through narrow corridors, disabling guards and sabotaging critical systems. Laura monitored, their progress remotely, guiding them step by step. "You're almost there," she whispered over the comms. Vorthan's command center is 2 levels down. When they reached the command center, they found Vorthan waiting for them. His pale skin glowed faintly in the dim light, and his expression was eerily calm. "You think you can stop me?" he asked, his voice dripping with disdain. "You're nothing but insects crawling in the dirt." Emily stepped forward, her weapon trained on him. "Maybe we're insects," she said. "But even insects can bring down giants." A tense standoff followed, with neither side willing to back down. Just as Vorthan raised his hand to activate a failsafe mechanism, Laura hacked into the station's systems, cutting off his access. The room plunged into darkness, save for the faint glow of emergency lights. Emily seized the opportunity, disarming Vorthan and securing him before he could react. With their leader captured, the Loyalists fell into disarray. Their remaining forces surrendered, unable to continue without direction. News of Vorthan's defeat spread quickly, sparking celebrations across the Alliance. For the first time in centuries, the Council's grip on the galaxy was broken. In the months that followed, Earth and its allies worked to rebuild what had been destroyed. Trade routes reopened, connecting distant worlds in ways never thought possible. Cultures mingled, sharing knowledge and traditions. Laura's dream of a united galaxy began to take shape, one colony at a time. Jack stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, watching as a joint colony ship departed for a newly discovered habitable planet. Beside him, Laura smiled, her eyes reflecting the same determination that had driven them from the start. "We did it," she said softly. "Against all odds, we actually did it." Jack nodded, his gaze fixed on the stars. "Yeah," he replied. "And this is only the beginning." The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Challenges still lay ahead, but humanity had proven it could face them head-on. Earth's empire wasn't built on conquest. It was forged through collaboration, resilience, and hope. As Jack and Laura gazed at the endless expanse of space, they knew their journey was far from over. Together, they had ignited a spark of change, a legacy written among the stars. And though the road ahead was uncertain, they faced it with courage, knowing that Earth's story was just beginning. The galaxy had changed. The fall of the Council's loyalist faction marked the end of an era, but it also signaled the start of something new, a future shaped not by fear and control, but by cooperation and freedom. Earth's empire, now known as the United Systems Alliance, stood at the forefront of this transformation. Jack Miller and Laura Bennett found themselves at the heart of it all, guiding humanity and its allies toward a brighter tomorrow. Jack spent his days traveling between worlds, meeting with leaders and settlers who had joined the Alliance. He listened to their stories, tales of hardship under the Council's rule, of oppression and struggle, and promised them a better life. "We're building something different here," he often said. "A place where everyone has a voice, where no one is left behind." His words carried weight, not because they were grand or poetic, but because they were true. People believed in him, trusted him, and followed his lead. Laura, meanwhile, worked tirelessly in her lab, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Her inventions had already revolutionized life across the Alliance. Fusion reactors powered entire cities, advanced medical technology saved countless lives, and quantum communication arrays connected distant colonies like never before. But she wasn't satisfied. There was always more to do, more problems to solve. She poured her energy into developing sustainable farming techniques for barren planets, ensuring that food shortages would never plague the Alliance again. President Rachel Monroe continued to inspire unity, addressing the galaxy with speeches that emphasized progress and collaboration. "We've come so far," she said during one broadcast, "but our work is far from done. Together we can create a future where every being, no matter their origin, can live in peace and prosperity." Her vision resonated deeply, drawing even more species and factions into the fold. Yet, challenges remained. The Council, though fractured, still existed in some form. Its remaining members debated how to respond to Earth's rise. Some advocated for peace, recognizing that the old ways had failed. Others clung to power, plotting revenge against the Alliance. Tensions simmered, threatening to boil over at any moment. One day, while reviewing data streams in her lab, Laura noticed something unusual. A signal, faint but persistent, emanated from a remote region of space. It wasn't a distress call or a navigation beacon, it was something else entirely. Intrigued, she brought the discovery to Jack. It could be nothing, she admitted. Or it could be important. Jack studied the readings carefully, his brow furrowed in thought. If it's coming from uncharted space, it might be worth investigating, he said. We'll send a scout ship. Captain Emily Dawson volunteered immediately. Since her daring mission to capture Vorthen, she had become a symbol of courage and leadership within the Alliance. Her crew trusted her implicitly, and she relished the opportunity to explore unknown territory. Let's see what's out there, she said with a grin. The scout ship, a sleek vessel named Pioneer, departed within hours. Its journey took it far beyond the reaches of Council-controlled space, into regions few had ever ventured. 4 weeks. The crew scanned the void, searching for the source of the mysterious signal. Finally, they found it. A massive structure floating silently in the darkness. The structure was unlike anything they had ever seen. It appeared ancient, its surface covered in intricate carvings and glowing symbols. As the Pioneer approached, the crew realized it wasn't just a relic, it was alive. The symbols pulsed rhythmically, responding to their presence. Emily ordered her team to suit up and investigate. Inside, they discovered chambers filled with strange machinery and holographic displays. One display showed a map of the galaxy, dotted with locations marked by glowing points. Another displayed images of various species, some familiar, others alien. At the center of the structure was a pedestal, atop which rested a crystalline object pulsing with energy. "It's beautiful," whispered Sarah Collins, Emily's first officer, as she examined the crystal. "But what is it?" Before anyone could answer, the structure came to life. A voice, deep and resonant, echoed through the chamber. "Welcome, travelers," it said. "You have awakened the archive." Emily stepped forward cautiously. "Who are you?" she asked. "I am the Keeper of Knowledge," the voice replied. "Built by those who came before, I hold the wisdom of countless civilizations. You seek answers, I offer them freely." The crew exchanged astonished looks. This discovery could change everything. They recorded everything they saw, sending updates back to Earth. When Jack and Laura received the transmission, they were speechless. "This could be the key to understanding the galaxy," Laura said excitedly. "Imagine what we could learn." Jack nodded, though concern lingered in his eyes. "Knowledge is powerful," he said, "but it can also be dangerous. We need to proceed carefully." Back at the structure, Emily and her team began exploring further. The archive revealed secrets about the Council's origins, shedding light on why they had governed the galaxy for so long. It also contained warnings, cautions about forces beyond comprehension, entities that lurked in the shadows of the universe. Emily felt a chill run down her spine as she read these passages, but she pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, tensions within the remnants of the Council escalated. Factions clashed, each vying for dominance. Some sought to destroy the Alliance outright, while others proposed negotiations. Amidst the chaos, a rogue group emerged, calling themselves the Reclaimers. They believed the archive belonged to them, a tool to restore the Council's former glory. Led by a ruthless commander named Kale, they set their sights on the structure. When Emily's crew detected incoming ships, they knew they were in trouble. "Reclaimers," Emily muttered, her jaw tightening. "They're here for the archive, and now." Ensuing battle was fierce. The Reclaimers launched wave after wave of fighters determined to seize the structure. Emily's crew fought valiantly, using the Pioneer's superior agility to evade attacks. Inside the archive, the crystalline object pulsed brighter, as if reacting to the conflict outside. "We can't hold them off forever," Sarah shouted over the comms. Emily made a quick decision. "Activate the archive's defenses," she ordered. "Whatever it takes." The crew scrambled to comply, triggering mechanisms hidden within the structure. Energy fields erupted around. the archive repelling the reclaimers' ships. Kale, enraged, ordered a retreat, but not before vowing revenge. "This isn't over," he snarled as his fleet disappeared into hyperspace. When the dust settled, Emily contacted Earth, reporting the situation. Jack and Laura listened intently, their expressions grim. "The archive is too valuable to leave unprotected," Jack said. "We'll send reinforcements immediately." Within days, a fleet arrived to secure the structure. Scientists and engineers began studying the archive, unlocking its secrets piece by piece. What they learned was staggering: knowledge of advanced technologies, forgotten histories, and even hints of other intelligent beings watching from afar. As the Alliance absorbed this newfound wisdom, Jack and Laura reflected on how far they had come. From outcasts to pioneers, humanity had proven its resilience time and again. But they knew the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike. Standing on the observation deck of the orbital station, Jack gazed at the stars. Beside him, Laura smiled, her eyes reflecting the same determination that had driven them since the beginning. "We've built something amazing," she said softly, "but there's still so much to do." Jack nodded, his gaze fixed on the endless expanse of space. "Yeah," he replied, "and we'll keep going, together." The galaxy had changed, but the spirit of exploration and unity remained stronger than ever. Earth's empire wasn't just a collection of planets and ships, it was a promise of hope, progress, and a future written among the stars. And as Jack and Laura looked to the horizon, they knew their story was only beginning.